Hello everyone! I'd like to apologize once and for all for the terrible mic quality that I've had for the past couple of videos. I'm planning on getting a mic as soon as I get back from my summer plans. Today I wanted to show the completion of a project that has been on my mind for a while. Ever since I got into vintage sewing and vintage fashion, I've kind of been incredibly interested in 1920s +4s or Knickerbockers or golf pants. They're called a variety of things and have subtle differences between them, but they're all kind of a similar thing. Loose-fitting, somewhat floofy pants worn by both men and women for sport for a good chunk of the 20th century. I used a nice brownish gray mid to lightweight wool for this project, and I used a pattern from Eva Dress Patterns. I'm going to be forthright and say that this is not my best work. There are a myriad of small problems both in fit and in aesthetics, but overall I'm still really happy with these and I feel just so cool when I wear them. I will do my best to narrate the steps of this pattern, but in my opinion the instructions, which are fully illustrated, were pretty easy to follow. This video is definitely not a tutorial, but I hope that it can be helpful to some people who want to follow along and make some cool pants too. My cat decided that he has to be in the room right now, so if you hear any errant purring or quiet meows, it's him. Like I said, I cut most of the pattern pieces from this lovely mid to lightweight wool, and then cut out the pockets and a couple of the facings from this lovely flower printed cotton that I had in my stash. Since the cotton was kind of thin and a little bit old, I doubled up on it to make the pockets just so that they'd be stronger. Once that was done, I attached the pocket facing to the pocket. This is the part that the pocket opening shows onto, so it blends in better if you're using a pocket fabric that does not match the fashion fabric of the rest of the pants. I then stitched the pocket mouth facing to the front of the pants along the guidelines, and then did the same thing with the guidelines of the pocket. As you can see in this, I zigzag stitched around the pocket facing and the pocket mouth facing, just so that the edges wouldn't fray. I then slashed open that line and pushed it through. It is important that even though my pocket facing is up right now, you should do this with the pocket facing down, because as you can see, as I'm realizing in this footage, if you do it with the pocket facing up, you will have the wrong fabric showing through from the outside. Then made an inverted box pleat and stitched around that to make the nice welt entrance. Finally, just stitch along the edges of the pocket pieces, creating the pocket bag. My welt pocket is not the prettiest thing, but I still think it's pretty good for a first try. Once the pockets were prepared and attached, although backwards, I stitched the darts in the back of the pants and then stitched the crotch reinforcement on with a lapped seam. I then stitched both the inside and outside leg seams, space at the top for both plackets since these pants open on both sides. I finished all of the leg seams with flat felt seams. I finished the facing edges as directed and then got to work on the bound buttonholes. There are a ton of tutorials on YouTube and on the internet that are better than mine, but basically a bound buttonhole is like a tiny welt pocket. You attach the facing to the marked place where you want the buttonhole to open, and then stitch around that line, and then slash it open and pull the fabric through, and then pleat the fabric up and sew around that again. And in this case, I had to cut open a hole in the facing that goes on the other side of the raw seam of the pants so that the buttonholes would go through both of them. My buttonholes are a little bit wonky and not perfectly neat, but I'm glad I got the chance to practice making bound buttonholes. Once I was done with the buttonholes on the outside fabric of the pants, I've attached the facing, I think it's number 5, the side facing, and that's what I had to cut into to cover the raw edges of the bias-bound buttonholes. Piece number 5 is turned over and stitched to finish the raw edge of the placket in the front of the pants, where the buttons are. To finish the back of the pants, pieces 3 and 4 are joined together and then attached to the raw edge. Curved edge of 3 and 4 touching the side seam start. I zigzag stitched along the bottom edge of the front and back waist facings and then attached them to the pants. They go on the way you expect, right sides facing each other, and then folded down, and I top stitch them into place. The leg cuffs are prepared by stitching the facing and the fashion fabric together, right sides together, and then flipping them inside out. I didn't really understand how the cuff worked from the instructions, so I just opened the seam above the cuff a little and then finished it with a small triangle of fabric, like the cuffs in the Elsie blouse pattern. Instead of subjecting myself to even smaller bias-bound buttonholes, I just worked these by machine. Finally, I attached the cuffs, first with the fashion fabric right sides together on the pants, and then I felled down the facing/lining so that no stitching would show from the outside. So, as I mentioned throughout the video and in the intro, there were a lot of problems that arose as I was making these +4s or Knickerbockers or whatever. The biggest visible problem is one of the welt pocket openings, and the biggest problem to their actual function as pants and actual hiking pants is the fact that the welt pockets are both in backwards. I tried to fix this on both sides of the pants, but the wool was kind of fragile and kept unraveling as I was unpicking the stitches. The two biggest minor problems are that the cuffs are both facing the same way. I made one of them backwards and had already trimmed the seam before I realized my mistake, and that the pants have a little bit too much space in the back, but it basically ensures that I have free movement on my legs, so I'm not really complaining. I really liked this pattern. If I do it again, I will probably take in the back seams a little bit and quadruple check to make sure that my welt pockets are in right. But overall, I think it was a pretty easy to follow pattern, and I'm very happy that it gave me the chance to practice bias binding buttonholes and a variety of other skills that I've never done before. Thank you for coming on this journey to make the coolest pants with me, and I hope I'll see you all again soon. Bye!